But first, David Haye. A couple of hours ago, we brought you the news that he's still hoping to fight American J.D Chapman in his first fight since moving back up to heavyweight. Now, what's happened?
Well, this is despite Chapman's no-show at a pre-fight news conference. The bout is due to take place in the O2 Arena on November the 15th, live on Setanta Sports. Well, Chapman is 6'6", a strapping lad of 18 stone. He's won all 29 of his fights, 26 by knockout. Quite a tough guy. Haye decided to step up to heavyweight after beating Enzo Maccarinelli for the World Cruiserweight title in March.
Tell you what, don't get too excited, Charlotte, because can't be much to him because he hasn't bothered turning up. Well, let's get some clarity on this. Let's speak to the one and only Steve Bunce. Steve, what's going on?
Morning, fellas, or afternoon, fellas. Well, first of all, what you have to understand here is David Haye could have taken the easy route to the heavyweight title. He's done the deal with Setanta, he's got the money in the bag, and he's got the O2 book for November 15th, and he could have got himself a tomato can, a bum, a guaranteed loser. Any one of the fat former heavyweights who have got no desire but will show up, speak a little bit, eat even more, get in the ring and fall over. We could have done that, and everyone would have been happy. But you know what? He decided no. And I think he made, not a mistake, but he made a bold move. He said, I'm going to fight a guy from the top 10. So he chose one guy last week, Kevin Johnson, unbeaten, this kid, dangerous, good talker, big kid from Chicago. That fell through. Johnson suddenly wanted $500,000 more, completely unrealistic. So then they went and found a guy, as Charlotte just pointed out there, did 29 fights, 26 stoppages, 6'6", the man's a man mountain. David Haye shouldn't even be on the same continent as him. They did a deal with him, he signed the deal. He's got a first-class plane ticket somewhere in his room, wherever the hell it is he's from, and he failed to get on the plane. So David Haye is making things difficult for himself because he does not want to shortchange anybody. He wants to fight a genuine top 10 guy, preferably one who's unbeaten, like Johnson, and like this guy Chapman, preferably one with lots of stoppages, like those two guys. He wants to prove himself, and he wants to win fans and influence the way things are. So he's trying to do it the right way, and these blimmin' heavyweights, and we talked about it at a fight recently, these American heavyweights, they are gutless wonders, absolute gutless wonders.
Steve, I was reading a quote from David Haye saying he's a big guy who comes to brawl and has never lost, but I guess he looked at me and he didn't fancy it. Is that what we're looking at?
Rodri, listen, it's as simple as that. Listen, they offered this guy a career-high purse, okay? And he's come back with he now wants 2 or 3 times what they've offered him. He's sitting there with $8,000 worth of first-class plane ticket in his drawer. I tell you the thing about heavyweights, Rodri, Charlotte, come close so that so that no one can accuse us of not making it clear to each other. They don't want to fight each other. American heavyweights are gutless and heartless, and all they want to do is queue up for 4 years until they get $1 million payday in a world heavyweight title fight. And on the way to that payday, they don't want to break sweat, because when they get in the ring, they fall over. We had one recently. How about this guy recently, Charlotte and Rodri? 6'8", okay? He lost one fight. He had 14 people in his corner. He had his mum, his girlfriend and his child at ringside, and he went out to Germany against Klitschko, who looked petrified. Klitschko looked absolutely scared stiff, and this guy Thompson did not throw a single worthwhile punch before falling asleep in about 9 rounds. He should have had his payday of about $1.2 million stopped. That's what the Americans are holding out for. So someone like David Haye, who's prepared to get in there and fight these unbeaten brawlers, test them, see if they're worthy of their top 10 rankings, they are running scared. This is both a terrific day for British heavyweight boxing and a terrible day for British heavyweight boxing, because it shows you just how game and how competitive our top fighters are, and how callous, calculating, and I hate to say it, cowardly our American fighting cousins can be.
Steve, as you said about this man mountain, he's got physical attributes which are similar to that of Vladimir Klitschko, who you mentioned beat Tony Thompson in Hamburg, and a guy who eventually David Haye wants to obviously go on and fight. And we do have a quote here that Adam Booth obviously David Haye's trainer said the reason he didn't get on the flight, so in his own words, is I'm not coming to England to get knocked out. Usually these boxers are supposed to be overly positive about themselves.
Well, not just that. Charlotte, listen, he needs to look in the mirror and tap his head so it makes a big clunking noise, because that's the business he's in. How does he think he's going to get where he wants to go if he doesn't risk it a little bit? If he doesn't do what all boxers have to do at some stage in their career and take a hard fight? Because the riches are fantastic. And if you fall short, you fell short. You take it like a man, or in modern boxing, you take it like a woman, whatever, and you get on with business. What this guy's saying is, what he's really saying is, I want a nice easy ride to the top, a nice payday, and then I'll go back onto the prairie with my little girlfriend, have a few more kids and raise some donkeys. It's pathetic. I'd take his licence away for talking like that, and I'm being absolutely honest. How can you possibly ask anybody in the future in America to spend a single cent to watch that coward fight? Think about it. It's disgraceful.
I take your point, Steve, but I tell you what, on the positive side for David Haye, doesn't that bring him ever closer to the showdown with Klitschko, which is what he wants?
Absolutely. Listen, I know that a guy called Richard Schaefer, who's in charge of a company called Golden Boy, works with a guy called Oscar De La Hoya, and they're going to be the sort of co-promoters on the night at the O2, November 15th. Richard Schaefer this morning, who was completely bewildered by what's going on, I understand he's spoken to a guy called Shelley Finkel, one of the senior advisors inside the Klitschko camp, and Klitschko said, well, listen, maybe this fight will happen sooner rather than later. It's just that David, wouldn't it have been fantastic if David got this guy Chapman in the ring, and as Charlotte mentioned, he's very similar to Klitschko in size and bulk. David smashes him out and wins several thousand more fans. Then next year he smashes another guy out and leads on to Klitschko next summer, either at the O2 in Berlin or the O2 in London. That's what it is. You want to build up to something big. Plus, he's our fighter. We want 9 months of building up with David Haye, 2 great fights before we get the big one. You can't give everyone everything all the way, all the time, Rodri.
You can't.
Got to hold back something.
So is there going to be a fight on November 15th? That's the bottom line.
Absolutely, there'll be a fight on November 15th. And what's going to happen is David Haye and Adam Booth, who are Haymaker Promotions, are probably going to have to pay a little bit more money to try and persuade one of these Americans to look in the drawer, where's obviously where he's been keeping his heart for the last year. Stick it inside his chest and get on a plane. Steve,
great stuff. Good talking to you. Thanks for clearing it all up.
Thank you.
See you, people.
Fantastic. The one and only Steve Bunce. So I tell you what, we're clear on that. I love when he said he better open his drawer and have a look for his heart when he's been keeping it.
Or hit himself on the head and hear it rattling.
Oh dear. Brilliant stuff. But it is expected November 15th at the O2 Arena. David Haye seeking to establish his heavyweight credentials.
Live on Setanta Sports.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Saturday night. Back to football. More football.
Now, Saturday's victory against Manchester United ensures Liverpool going to the